I'm Steve Jeppy, and I'd like to welcome you to Jeppy's Entertainment Museum.
So, Mike, you showed that Batman sculpture when you were, taken over by Batman.
This one here?
Yes.
I love
Can you
this
talk
one.
about that a little bit?
Oh my gosh. My house, I gotta admit it, I've been collecting statues and sculptures, and it looks like a museum,
Okay.
if I may say, a museum when I'm in a museum. But everywhere you look, I try to have really neat things, and this is one of them. This is one of my favorite Batman sculptures. It's based on Alex Ross's artwork,
Okay.
and if I know you're familiar with it, if you
Yes.
guys aren't, it's super realistic and just beautiful to look at. You just feel like you're actually looking at a photo more than anything else. And my house is just full of these sort of things. So I have that. I have lesser ones like this guy here. I have the Batlight.
The Batlight.
And just, if you guys, and please come to the museum and ask to see my desk at work. I will happily take you into my office desk because it is just packed with my artwork from home, with sculptures, with books, and I just love showing them off.
Just don't take the candy. Don't take the candy. That's all I have to say on that. No, and I'm glad that you bring this stuff
That's
in
why I keep the
because-
Walking Dead machete underneath the desk for the candy takers.
That makes
Yes.
sense. I always wondered why you
I
just
know.
had that sitting
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
I just thought you were prepping.
No, that's why.
Those doomsday preppers. But no, yeah, I'm glad that you went ahead and brought this in because I love the.
Don't touch it. No.
We're on.
I'm playing.
We're on.
It's Batman.
We're on.
It's Batman.
It's
Batman.
okay.
No, I love talking about Batman. I'm sorry.
Everyone was talking about Batman, man.
Stay.
Oh, he moved a little bit.
Yeah, I
doesn't listen
He makes
well.
me feel super safe when he watches me.
Okay, fair
Okay,
enough.
great. Hey, speaking of Batman, I know we touched on him a little before, but what's the neatest story about Batman in the museum that you can think of?
The neatest story about Batman in the museum that I can think of. Well, my favorite thing, Batman-wise, in the museum, it's not anything that's actually in the stacks. It's actually something that you found out in our Revolution room. My favorite thing is that there used to be a projector up there, and no one here knew what it did. And you, being the new head of collections, went ahead and said, "I want to find out what this thing does." And you came to me one day, you went, "You're not gonna believe this." And I went, "What?"
My greatest find in the museum to date.
As of now, you
Yes.
go, "We have a bat signal." And I said some salty words we can't say on network TV, but I went, "No, get out of Dodge."
You mean like that bat signal?
Like this bat signal.
Oh!
And what's amazing with it is that we now have a bat signal that in that room goes
Okay.
all the way around and comes out. And
I love that thing.
It was the
It's
coolest.
my favorite thing in the museum.
It's amazing.
Other than you.
oh, well,
I
you're
know,
so
that's sweet. Shucks.
Yeah, so I mean that was one of the coolest things that so far that I found Batman-wise in the museum because I just didn't know it was here, and no one even thought to go and put a light in it or fix it, and you made it happen. So, well done.
I like Batman. You enjoying the TV show, by the way?
I'm enjoying
the
Gotham.
non-Batman TV show, by the way.
Well, I've thought for the longest time that there's a lot of untapped just story building you can do in that situation because the fact that you're talking about dealing with a world in which Batman doesn't exist, but yet still having to deal with super person crime and just crime in general.
You can really do a show about Batman without Batman.
Yes, they can because they've done it in comics.
Really?
It's a book called Gotham
It's
Central.
actually a great book.
It's a fantastic book, And this is what I kind of wanted the show to be, and it's kind of in that same vein for the most part.
They based it on this. This came out, how many years ago? Do you know offhand? Because
Oh my
I don't
goodness.
even kind of
This was
remember.
back
It's been
when
like
Ed
10
Brubaker,
years.
yeah. This is when he was writing for DC, so this
Yeah.
is at least 10, 15 years ago before he started doing
Great
Cats.
series, though.
And it's an amazing series. And the other thing that's great about it is, again, you have this story about the police force, which is one of the most underutilized character bases in all the Batman universe. We all know his Rogues Gallery. His Rogues Gallery is plentiful and full of a ton of colorful characters. We all know the Bat family because we all have our favorites.
Okay.
Whether you're a fan of Dick, whether you're a fan of Tim, whether you're a fan of Damian, who personally, that little just boisterous guy holds a special place in my heart.
I'm a Tim fan. I'm sorry. Damien was just a obnoxious little kid.
You know what's funny? The one person we don't talk about is is one of the ones that has the best story. And,
No. Jason, yes.
you know, Jason, the man that 60% of the comic reading populace wanted out of the books.
Kill him.
Kill him, make
Yes.
him gone. But I love the fact that they're doing this, that they're taking something from that universe and they're using it, and they're not. I love Batman like you do,
Yeah.
but I love seeing these characters, people like Bullock, people like Gordon, people, you know, even Renee Montoya, who they've now put into the modern universe in this. I love seeing these characters that have so much depth and deal with what the change in Gotham is after that turn and after, you know, Bruce's family dies.
Well, you know I love the sculptures from the ones that I pulled out today.
Exactly.
But one of my favorite ones that I ever got, believe it or not, was when they finally came out with the Gordon one. I was like, oh, it's so cool. His coat is blowing in the wind, he's wearing sunglasses, and it's just a classic Gordon shot. And I was
Because-
like so happy that he's getting his due. He's a great character.
And exactly, as much as Batman is important to the entire universe, Gordon is even more because he is the actual anchor. Batman is the crazy one out there doing the stuff. Gordon is the anchor that brings it back home and just go, okay, this is what real people have to deal with in this city. So no, I'm with you. I've really dug the show so far, and I love the fact that they're taking from Eisner Award, Harvey Award nominated and winning series to go ahead and create these new shows.
Speaking of liking something and not liking something, let's do a little thing like they used to do in the old review shows.
Okay.
What do you want to call it?
Let's call it Bag It and Burn It.
Bag it and burn it. Okay, unfortunately, but most of my stuff is going to be bag it because that's what I do.
Sorry,
But I
sorry.
did.
I'll be the negative one. I have plenty that we can set on fire outside of the collection because that's the last thing we want to do.
Let's go first with you.
All right, we're going to go ahead and go with the Burn It first.
Burn it!
And that's going to be the Mass Effect series. I love the video game. I'm a huge fan of this series. It's three of the largest, most in-depth and well-produced role-playing video games you're going to get. This series has been garbage in my honest opinion. The thing that I enjoy about it is the world, like the character and the universe they put you in. And this is around it, but it's not. It doesn't tell any stories about anything I care about. The characters themselves aren't fleshed out, and the ones from the series feel like they take a step back in the book compared to the movie, compared to the game. So just
The game is neat.
Burn it.
Wow.
Now,
you
another-
are just destroying our stuff, Zach.
That's all right.
That's okay.
That's all right.
That's out of your paycheck.
That's right. Don't take it out of mine. Another one I
Would you like a match for the next one?
No, because
Okay.
again, I don't want to set
yeah,
up the
okay,
fire
okay.
alarm. It's the last thing we need. The next Burn It for me is going to be Daniel Way's Thunderbolts. That's the right response. Now, I will say this. Daniel Way's first volume of Thunderbolts, which was with the whole Marvel Now relaunch about a year ago, I enjoyed. Not because it was good, but because it was much like you would say a summer popcorn flick. I could turn my brain off, watch the Punisher shoot people, and Red Hulk smash through a bunch of bad guys. I was fine with that. He was trying to bring the team together. You don't have to have a solid story. I actually suggest picking that first volume up just for the fun of it. It's not very good though. This second volume is why I'm glad that he's no longer on the book.
It does make a great little thing for your cups if you're drinking coffee or anything and want to put it down on there.
If you happen to be out in the woods and you have it with you, it starts a great fire.
Before we go any further, though, I do have to say one thing. What we're talking about is our own personal
Yeah,
opinions.
this is
We aren't picking on Marvel. We aren't picking on DC. We love their stuff. It's our business. We just think it's amazing. This is just like any normal person. We have likes and dislikes. Anybody who is in here, we probably tell them the same thing.
I've told people the same thing that I'm about to say about this book because of the fact that at the end of the day, it's about what we love.
Yes.
And that's the whole point of everything we do here, whether it's the books we sell, the books we carry, or the books we read. It's about the books we love. And my entire view since I've been running the store has been, I want to get good books in good people's hands. And I've met people that love Daniel Way's writing. I'm not one of them, and they buy Daniel Way's stuff no matter what it is. And they're the people that they choose to buy that, and that's what they love, and I don't ever get bad on them.
Why pick on just one guy when you can pick on, here's my burn it,
Oh, no.
lots of guys.
Oh, God.
Let's take some of the best artists, like, and also,
And
him too,
And then some of our
do
favorite writers,
zombies. Yes.
and also-
Yes. And then do a book that, in my opinion,
Terrible.
Yeah.
And-
I love zombies. I love Walking Dead. This, I don't know, it just didn't do it for me. I'm not saying that I don't love, I mean, I love these artists. I have lots of stuff. I bought things from them. I will continue to buy things from them. But just, this, didn't enjoy.
And also, and what's amazing about it is that it comes from such great lineage, because the first two Marvel Zombie volumes, the stuff that Mark Millar created in the Ultimate Universe, and then the stuff that you have with Robert Kirkman, that one of the big books he did at Marvel when he was still strictly at Marvel, when he was still doing that freelance.
Was great.
Was great. This is crap.
Not so much.
The
See, I didn't want to go there. I didn't want to go crap. In case he's watching, hi, love your stuff.
Great done.
You're the man.
Mr. Van Leen, I love your stuff. You're great work on Archer and Armstrong. But this was just not very good. And it's one of those things where I think the Marvel Zombie stuff kind of got too played out. It was great with the first couple of volumes, and they kept running it into the ground. At that point in time, you just kind of go, it's like Fonzie jumping the shark.
I have a great idea.
Okay.
Let's go back to stuff we love.
That's the
I
best
love
thing.
talking about more stuff that we love than stuff that we,
Okay.
Okay. How about this one? Because it's
Oh
number
my
one in the
God.
book. This is going to be a great movie. It's going to be a great movie. Go see it. It comes
Touch
out.
British.
A touch British.
But that's not a bad thing.
It's kind of like. It's kind of like if James Bond had a nephew who was kind of like a delinquent.
Yes.
And he said, but he saw, something in him that he could turn him. And then brought this delinquent in to MI6 and gave him the run of everything and trained him to be a world-class spy.
Basically gives him the keys to the kingdom and go, you have something better in you, make something better of yourself. I love
Great book.
The other thing that's very underrated in this book is the villain in it. And it's not because he's menacing, it's just because he is the perfect representation of what you would call the comic book guy.
Yeah.
And to have them take him and then take him on this huge global level with the stuff that goes on, it's just wonderful.
And to see the previews with Samuel L. Jackson,
as the bad guy, just
stunning. I
It's-
think perfect casting.
It's going to be greatly adapted. A lot of the stuff that Mark Millar does that goes from comic to movie gets adapted and gets changed. It's something that's that's just part of the world, but it's always done very well. Whether I love the Wanted movie because it's
I love the
completely
Wanted
different
movie, too.
animal than the book.
And Kick-Ass, although I think was wonderful. I don't know why more people didn't like it, but I laughed the whole way through it. But then again, I laugh at most decapitations and things.
Exactly. Well, I tell you what we'll go ahead and do. We have a few more stuff we want to do with the Bag It and Burn It. I've got 2 books that I really strongly want to talk about that I love.
Fantastic.
And I'm sure you do too. Why don't we go ahead and take a commercial break so we can go ahead and let everyone kind of go Google this and see what they can find it. And we'll be right back.
Great.
Thank you.
See you in a few.
It started small. Then it went global. Gamers from North America coming together with gamers from all around the world, from all walks of life, getting together to play games for 24 hours and raise money to help cure sick kids. With all funds raised staying local with Children's Miracle Network hospitals and partner hospitals internationally.
Welcome back to Two Guys in the Comic Book. I'm Zach,
I'm Mike.
and we're talking about some of our Bag It and Burn It's, the things we love and we hate. Right now we're talking about what we love. You brought up Kingsman.
Yep.
I want to take a moment to talk about 2 books by the same writer
Please
so we can go and get
do.
them done. First one is called The Wake. It's written by
my
Scott
favorite writers.
Snyder,
Oh, is he
who's
good?
doing Batman
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh,
it's-
just out of ballpark.
And what's great is also the art's being done by Sean Murphy, who has a very, very fantastic run on a book called Punk Rock Jesus. And I love this story just because of the way that it tells 2 different tales. There's before the end of the world and after the end of the world. And I love this because there's a turn after you get through the first volume that you don't see coming. And I just love post-apocalyptic stories done right. And Sean Murphy's art makes everything pop. And also, you have mermen, for crying out loud. How could you not love evil mermen? I mean, it's just awesome. I love it.
That's a winner right away.
Now,
Merman.
the other thing I want to talk about just came out of
Is Ethel one of them?
Ethel is not one.
Okay, just checking.
My other thing I want to talk about is
That was from my grandfather. Sorry, I had to throw that one in.
Scott Snyder and Jock's Witches. Now, this issue's only one issue in, and it's done by Image Comics. I love this story just because of the fact that, again, it's Scott Snyder doing what he does best, which is horror. And when they announced this book, I think they announced it at C2E2, or even before then, I got really excited because I'm a huge fan of Jock's art. And to see these two working together on this story where it takes place where something happened with this girl, who is the main character, and she had to move, the whole family had to move because of what happened. And this is about the history of what happened and how it ties into not just her, but the entire area as a whole and her family lineage. The first issue leaves you with a ton of questions, which is always a good thing with an issue. The art in it, again, I'll just thumb through it for the audience so they can get a chance at it. The art in it is just, it's Jock style, so it's got a little bit of that scratch to it, kind of a noir-y feel. Very, very scary. Just beautiful. Just well done. If you get a chance, this is an amazing ongoing series. It just started now. It is mature, so 17 and older because of the language and content, but still fantastically done.
Oh my God. You know what I just did?
What?
I just shipped my pants. You know why?
Why?
Because of the strain.
That's
Talk about a scary book. I know that one's scary. I watch a lot of television. When I was little, the television was my babysitter. So I got to watch 8 or 9 hours a day, even as a little kid.
All right.
So I've seen a lot of television. I've seen a lot of horror. And I've got to say that the strain on TV is scaring the bejesus out of me. And it is so well done.
And what's amazing too with it is it's not just the TV show that's very, very good. You also have the Strain comic book, which you have here in front of you, which is being done by David Lapham, who's very well known for doing darker stuff. And then also you have it based off of a fantastic book trilogy done by Guillermo del Toro, who's known for...
I'm very impressed that you pronounce that right. I'm terrible at that. I slaughter. I'm like Guillermo del Toro.
I'm glad I was able to get it out, let's just be honest. But it's a great series written by him and also co-written by Chuck Hogan, who's done The Town. And these are two... Del Toro is a master of being able to create atmosphere and a master of creature creation.
Look at this front cover. That's some scary stuff.
And it's just, it's so...
And by stuff, I mean stuff.
But it's very good, and the Strain, it comes from a great lineage of stuff, so anything with the Strain name on it, I'd be willing to bet you pick it up, you're going to love it. Now, speaking of good lineage, and I'll go ahead and tie it into this, let's talk about another... This is a loved book around the museum and around it, and that is Brian Michael Bendis' Powers. Now, this show just got picked up in a very cool deal by the PlayStation Network. Sony is trying to create their own streaming system, and they went to Brian, who had another deal at FX, and said, we'll give you 10 episodes. We're going to make it. We'll put money behind it like it's an actual television show. 10 episodes. Tell the story you want. If it works, we'll do more, and we want you to be the flagship for our streaming service. So he went to it. I was lucky enough to sit in on the panel in New York Comic Con, and also if you get a chance, there is a trailer that is available for it online on YouTube. Brilliant series. I will say what they've done in the series, and I'm not going to spoil the book. What they did, they buried the lead a little bit that kind of comes out at the end of this first one. But it's an amazing noir crime book.
I gush over this book because I've been a huge fan of Brian since the very, very early days when he was doing his own art and everything like that. But I just think I've never read another writer that captures the pacing of people naturally talking, interrupting each other and talking over each other, and it's just an amazing book in terms of capturing that ability. And the storyline. Omen, who is the artist, hit it out of the ballpark on this one. I say that a lot, but really, really neat stuff.
And the other thing that's great about this, the thing that I love the most about this book, is the fact that it's a procedural. It's Law and Order, but it's in a universe where superheroes exist. You have your version of Iron Man, your version of Batman, your version of these iconic heroes that we all know and love. They have to deal with the police the same way that everyone else does, and it's just a cool way to go ahead and tell an adult story about having to go ahead and handle the world as it is.
Which brings us a little bit back to Batman again. I know we keep coming back to that and Gotham. I got to throw in one more. This one's a classic. I always try to go to the classics. Year one of Batman. This is back in the very first days of Batman where he's dealing with Gordon and things like that. I know I've started to jump back into Gotham Central, but why not? It's a good thing.
It's very good.
It's a good thing. So I'd highly recommend this. It's a bumbling Batman a little. It's not the Batman that we know and love right now because it's in his early days. He's learning how to do things. He's screwing up, and he knows he's screwing up. and he gets hurt, and he knows, that he's got to fix things and learn a better way to do what he's doing. And it's just great to see his initial first year, literally, with Gordon, with the police, and trying to get along with those guys. I had to throw that in. Sorry.
That's well. Since you brought up the book about people trying to get along and everything,
Why can't
Guardians
you
of
just
the
get along?
Galaxy was one of the biggest movies of the summer.
Yep.
So it would be apropos not to talk about the Guardians of the Galaxy collection that was just released. Now this volume is done by Dan Abbott and Andy Lanning are the writers on it. They don't work together anymore because they don't like each other. But this was some of the classic stuff they did.
When they liked each other.
When they liked each other. Marvel did a very good job of giving them the entire unit. They went, there's the universe that with the Avengers and everything. There's a cosmic universe which they delved into in the movie, and they went to Abbott and Lanning and said, do what you want with the cosmic universe. Anything you want, you can go ahead and do. And so they created this series, the Guardians of the Galaxy, and this is where the team that you see in the movie is ripped from. And it's cool the way that he takes all these different characters, some of you know, some you don't, and he puts them on together on this team and has them working together to go ahead and solve this large cosmic crisis.
So this is like the original stuff. It's not so much the movie stuff, which Bendis, I think, wrote the movieized version and the
Yes.
current version. This is going back how many years?
I want to say this is around 10 years old.
Okay.
Around the time
But still
of,
great stuff.
It's still great
Oh my
stuff.
gosh.
And this is also, I love Bendis' run, but this is where a lot of the humor from the movie comes from. So you can go ahead and really see where James Gunn, the director of the movie, wanted to go ahead and pull in a lot of the stuff that we know and love in that movie. And there's this volume out, there's a second volume out coming out sometime around the end of the year. I highly suggest picking these up just because they're fantastic reads. And if you enjoyed the movie, this is where you're going to go ahead and get a lot of your pull from.
And about that movie, I gotta say, you guys have probably picked up from what I've been recommending and things. I tend to lean towards DC. I think you're more of the Marvel guy.
I am. Well, that's when I first started reading consistently. That's where I picked up a lot of my stuff was from Marvel.
When the movie came out, I went in as a newbie. I hadn't read any of the books. I hadn't heard any of the characters. I wasn't really, a fan. I wasn't not a fan. I just didn't know anything. Blank slate. Movie was incredible. I left. It was just one of the most fun, brilliant movies that I've seen in a very, very long time.
And I agree with you. It's very much like Star Wars, where you kind of get immersed in that universe. And the one thing James Gunn did very well with that movie is he made it a way to go ahead and if you knew nothing
gateway
about it,
drug.
you could enjoy it. But then for someone like me, there were the little nods here and there. Like you saw a Celestial that wasn't called a Celestial. We got a hint at the Collector's Collection. And then the stinger at the end was just spectacular. So, what we're going to go ahead and do, there's one more thing I really want to talk about. And we're going to,
Hey, let's talk a few more books about.
okay?
That was my Yoda impression.
I see you, because you reversed everything.
And one of the things I want to talk about is we had mentioned that this guy has been to the museum before.
Okay.
We actually are featuring some of his artwork in one of our displays right now.
In the Milestones exhibit.
That's it. And his name is Sean Martinsborough. And Sean is amazing. He's a great, great artist. I know I say that a lot. Amazing. Got to find a new word. But great storyline. This book, also by Robert Kirkman, same guy who did Walking Dead and a bunch of others that are just phenomenal, did this one. And basically, I'll pitch it to you. Basically, it's a basic story of the greatest art thief ever,
Okay.
who quits the business, and then of course they pull him back in for one last heist. It's a story that's been done lots of times before, but you know that with Kirkman and Martinsborough behind it, it's going to be a stunning twist that you don't see coming, and just the writing is great.
You know what's funny? I used to compare it to Ocean's 11. Until he told me don't do that. So I won't do that. But it is, that's the only thing I can really compare it to as far as that first volume, because it is very Ocean's 11-y, the way, not so much in the humor, but the way you see the crew put together, and the way you see him kind of obviously wanting to be out, but still being back in for various reasons.
And speaking of crews coming together, what book do you want to talk about next?
Well, the book I want to talk about, and we talked about the Netflix stuff that Marvel is doing.
Yep.
And the second one out after Daredevil is going to be Jessica Jones. Supposedly, it's going to be based off of Brian Michael Bendis' Alias. Now, as you can see right here, it is a Max book, so very much 17 or older, adult-rated, hard R stuff. But I love this book because what you get out of it is you get her, again, much like we talked about in Gotham Central, being a private eye in the superhero world, but she used to be in it. She used to be a superhero, and now she's kind of backed off of that and is out there being a detective. I love this volume, and I hope they do a very good job of keeping this very honest. And so I wanted to bring this up because this is something that's just come out, and I'm a huge fan of the fact they finally put it in a collection.
Yeah, one of my favorites too.
Now, what is this you have in front of you? Because I always want to talk about this book, so I'll let you hit it, though.
Okay. The next section, I want to change things around. We just talked about things that are coming out on TV. How about if we talk about stuff that isn't coming on TV, but we wish it was?
I love that idea.
Almost came on TV.
Okay.
Or might be coming on TV, but they haven't nailed it down yet.
I love that idea.
Okay, so let's start under that one with Lock and Key. I went into this, when I came here about a year ago, Zach gave me this book and said, read it. And I was like, never heard of it. He's like, no, read it, you'll like it. I not only liked it, I loved it. It was probably one of the best horror written books that I've ever read. And then when I found out that the writer, he tries to go incognito. His name is Joe Hill, but tell him who he really is.
Joe Hill is actually Stephen King's son.
Yes, and once he said that, so much of what I had read in here clicked in, because the pacing, the storylines, the material inside it is just so Stephen King-like. You can see where he gets a lot of inspiration.
And the other thing is, I feel bad because you're really gushing over Joe Hill because his writing in this is just spot on.
Yeah.
He's a novelist before he was a graphic writer, and you can tell that a lot of his novel tendencies come through in this. But the thing that you have to really go ahead and hang your hat on is Gabriel Rodriguez's art in this is phenomenal.
100%. Oh my gosh.
Everything about it, the way the characters pop. My favorite thing is in the third volume of it, midway through, they do a fantastic homage to Calvin and Hobbes. So his style changes throughout, and he does a very, very good job of really kind of selling this world and selling this spooky horror thriller world.
And I don't know about you, when you buy comics, if you have a great writer but a terrible artist, would you buy it?
The story has to be super strong.
I can't, because I'm a very visual person, and if I look at something, and no matter how great it is writing-wise, if I'm not enjoying, if whatever I'm looking at is turning me off, I won't get it.
I get
That did not happen.
No,
with
that
this.
art's gorgeous.
When I literally went through their 6 volumes. I lucked out because when I started getting into this, it was down to the very last issue coming out of the entire run. So I didn't have to, so I could plow through the entire thing.
Awesome.
But I remember book by book just getting more and more. I would come up to you and go, oh my God.
And then I'd have to be like, just wait. Well, speaking of just waiting, I'm going to go ahead and do this because we're running out of time.
Yep.
I want to be quick about this. My book is Scalped. We talked about Jason Aaron with Southern Bastards before in other episodes. This is his tour de force. 10 volumes. It's fantastic. It's a noir-style story. It takes place on an Indian reservation about a former member of the reservation leaving and then coming back. All sorts of just, again, if you notice, a lot of my stuff tends to be adult. That's where I hang my hat. But this stuff is amazing. And this, eventually, it's supposed to come out on TV. I heard that WGN picked it up, but who knows if it's ever going to happen. I wish it would. With that being the last thing to talk about, I want to thank you all for watching us today on Two Guys in a Comic Book. I'm Zach.
I'm Michael.
And we'll see you next week.
Take care.